Okay, everybody got their out. And that's where I'm going to start the show. Welcome again to You Made That, the podcast about makers, making, and the things that we make. I'm your host, Mike DeLauder, and with me, as always, the effervescent RebeccaDeGroot and Bob Blanford.
And Bob.
And Bob.
Hello. I almost just deleted all of our show notes.
Next time I sign into the podcast, and I always put a name there, I'm going to put Eeyore. Because nobody loves me. Everybody
hates me.
Mike never has anything nice to say about me.
I think you should change your name to Peggy. Like the person in, Hamilton.
I have not seen Hamilton. I know what you're referring to, but I have not seen it. The thing is, I have certain requirements for movies, or I won't go see them. They either have to be about space or have gratuitous violence, and if they don't have either of those two things, I'm not interested.
People get shot in this place, so
I'm just joking. No, but I'm not joking that I have not seen Hamilton, and I'll be honest, I have no desire to see it. I don't know much about Hamilton, but when I hear Hamilton, I think kids movie. And with having triplets, I have seen so many kids' movies that I have no desire to see anything that I think is even close to being a kids' movie. I'm ready for some adult, not adult movies, but more grown-up movies. let's watch how we say that. I'm ready for the Die Hards and the John Wicks and those type of shows that I haven't been able to watch for 100 years.
We know how it is at the Blanford residence.
I tell you, that came out wrong, didn't it? You got to watch what you say around this crowd.
So, Bob, what have you been watching lately?
Well, Michael, now that you mention it, I've been watching some pretty good shows. Matter of fact, after the podcast tonight, I'm going to go watch Clarice, the latest episode of Clarice that was recorded on Thursday. It's on our DVR. I haven't watched it yet. And then I'm going to also watch Young Sheldon after that. And last night, I watched the final episode of Wanda Vision. Let me tell you what happened.
The show ended on a cliffhanger?
No.
Nope, it did not end on a cliffhanger. They tied it all up. It was good. They tied the show up. All the loose ends. But there's stuff that's left. I'm not saying anything about it. There's stuff that's left if they want to take and do another episode. I didn't say anything about it. It's open-ended, right? They tied this episode up, this season up, but it's open-ended for a new season, right? That's the way I saw it.
Just enough loose ends.
Just enough loose ends. Yeah, well, we'll leave it at that.
No spoilers. People keep emailing me or messaging me. They're like, "Have you watched it yet? Have you watched it yet?" I was like, "No, don't tell me anything."
It was really good. It starting off the season, the boys, both my boys wanted to watch it. They were super psyched about it. And I watched that first episode, and I'm like, what the heck did I just watch? This was the dumbest thing I think I've ever seen, right? Because it didn't make any sense. But then the second episode, you start seeing little things happening, and you start paying attention, and then it just keeps building and building and building. So it was good. It was a good series. We enjoyed it.
And Rebecca?
Well, I've been watching more Bob's Burgers, and I'm finally into the part of Bob's Burgers that I haven't actually seen yet. I think it's season 10. So it's all new to me, so it's great. So I could probably watch all of the new episodes 5 times in a row and then just be done and start over from scratch again. It's working out great. So I've been watching that, and I haven't really been watching too much more than that because it's my come home, relax, do what I need to do while I hear something in the background. But now I'm actually having to focus on it. Like, oh, well, I haven't seen this yet. I'm going to miss something. So I'm getting a little distracted while watching now. Yeah. So maybe I'll switch back to something else. But then while I'm doing that, I'm listening. Well, not while. In between episodes, I'll also listen to more of my murder podcasts. So I'm on Morbid currently because I've almost listened to every episode of Morbid at this point, which there are quite a few. And then listen to more of my favorite murder, some more Murder Squad, but there's only a couple episodes of those that I hadn't already listened to. And then another one, Criminalia, which is pretty good. And then I did listen to one episode of The Way I Heard It by Mike Rowe. I don't know if you guys have listened to that yet.
Yeah,
I haven't. I do like Mike Rowe, though.
Yeah. He's got a very soothing voice.
Mm-hmm.
And he's fun to listen to, and he has a lot of opinions, but he's basically just reading chapters from his book. But it's pretty interesting. It was all about kind of the society's kind of cancel culture and how everybody's ripping down a bunch of statues, and they talked about the statue of Benedict Arnold. Do you know what that statue is?
No, go ahead. What is it?
No.
It's a boot draped over a camel, I believe. And there's no plaque saying that it's of him. There's nothing, because that's the only part of his body, I guess, that was injured in the battle that he became like a traitor in. And then all it was is remembering the part of his body that was injured. And because he like refused to die. And I had no idea. I just know that Benedict Arnold is like a traitor, and if you go back on your word, then you're a Benedict Arnold. I didn't know the history of it, so it was pretty interesting, even though I had no idea I was going to listen to anything like that during the day on Saturday. So that was kind of cool to listen to, so I'm into it now, but I really want to start listening to more of From the Ground Up. Have you heard that? Oh my goodness, you have to listen to it. It's so good. It's Keith Decent's podcast.
Yeah.
And it's just him, and his research that goes into this is spectacular. Like, and it's almost always a product or a material or a tool that we use. Like, one of his episodes was on CA glue, and it's the history behind it, what it was intended for, what it's used for today, kind of how it came to be, and all this stuff. And the music, and sometimes he has guest people come on for like different voices, and they act some of the things out, and it's so good. It's called From the Ground Up. I'll put it in our mentions.
Wow.
So that we have it in the show notes. You got to listen to it if you haven't already. It's just good.
Yeah. You know,
it's really good.
I thought of one thing too that I forgot. Did either of you watch the launch of SN10, launch and landing of SN10?
No.
Okay, you're not into the space program at all.
No, not really.
I was just curious.
Oh.
I was going to talk about it, but since you're not into it, I won't.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Well, Michael, what have you been watching?
Is
your HBO
stuff
expired yet?
Probably yes. I may keep it for another month. There's just too much good stuff.
Show.
I may actually have to stop Netflix and start HBO Max until they bring out some of the series that I want to see again.
Yeah.
You know, you still got Needful Things, or not Needful Things. It's Stephen King. What's that one about the 4 kids? The Upside Down. Stranger Things. Stranger Things. There's a few series on there that I want to see, but who knows how long it's going to be before those come out. Meanwhile, I'm spending $15 a month on Netflix and I'm not using.
Yeah, because you can pick it up at any time.
Yeah.
So, I don't blame you. I'd put the money somewhere else. If you're enjoying HBO, why not spend the $15 towards the HBO membership? Because you could always, when you finish with HBO, go back to Netflix, and anything that you missed will be there waiting for you to binge. So, yeah.
But unfortunately, I've been having to watch YouTube to learn about EDI. Electronic Data Interchange. Ooh. Yay.
Yeah, cool.
That sounds really boring.
I've been given that task at work to take that off of somebody's plate who's just way too overburdened with other things, and she is. Don't get me wrong. This person has way too much stuff on her plate. But God, this stuff is so dry.
Yeah.
If any of our listeners know anything about EDI and want to give me some pointers, it would be greatly appreciated. That can be sent in to Michael at, or is it Mike? I don't remember. Send it to makers@ymtpodcast.com. And listening to, I've been stretching out, listening to some new things, some of Rebecca's murder podcasts, but I've picked up one that I don't know that you've listened to. It's called Let's Not Meet.
Yes, it's so good. Oh my God, but it's terrifying, right?
Yes, it is.
Oh my gosh. Okay, it's so good. Bob, have you heard of that?
I've heard you talk about it before, but I have not listened to it. The horror genre, I'm not afraid to listen to or watch things like that, but it's just not something that ever really grabbed my attention.
This isn't horror. This is real life.
Yeah.
So it's technically, they consider it true horror podcast because they are real events of close encounters. So
Really?
either something happened or it almost happened or they made away with their life of a thing that's like absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
And just some of the creepy, crazy things that I hear about. I'm like, every night before bed, I'm checking all the doors and the windows and make sure and all the shades are shut. And I'm like, I'm a paranoid mess when there's no more light. Like, I've always been kind of afraid of the dark, and these podcasts sort of heighten that fear. And I'm just like, okay, all right, do I want to go out into the living room when I can see all those shadows that look a lot like people? No, probably not. Like, Henry can do it. Not me.
Have you listened to the latest episode? There was a story from a lady in there who had locked the door to her house and knew she had locked it because she double-checked it. And her boyfriend or husband, one of the two, comes home and wakes her up all ticked off at her because the back door was standing wide open.
What?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Comes back a few days later and finds the spare key holder empty.
Oh.
Their spare key that they had kept outside, the box was empty and just laying out in the ground.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's terrifying.
So,
therein
pleasant
lies your
dreams
problem.
tonight.
Never, ever hide a spare key
Have a
outside.
spare key holder? Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, why would you do that? Take it to your neighbor's house, a neighbor that you trust, and have them keep your key. And actually take it to two neighbors, because that way if one's not home, you got a 50-50 chance the other is.
Yeah.
Did you ever see the interviews of Timothy McVeigh's neighbors? I thought he was a very nice young man. He was always so well behaved. You want to give him your key?
No, but the little old lady who thought he was so well behaved could keep my key for me. She'll keep an eye on the house, too.
Just stick the key in your P.O. box. You'll be good. Nobody will ever know. Then you can just pretend that you lost your key there.
See,
and have your other key.
I actually, it's easy for me. I just leave my door unlocked, and I just go right in the garage door, and the door's unlocked.
Do you really? You
Yes.
don't.
No, I do.
Oh my God, you Midwesterners, craziness.
Yeah, I leave
Well,
it
he's
unlocked.
got an automatic door opener, so if you don't have that, you're not getting into his garage.
Yeah, all you got to do is go up and punch in the number on the keypad, and you can get in. And there's no default, so you just keep punching until you get it. There's only 9,999 combinations. Actually, 10,000.
By the way, if anybody needs Bob's access code,
Mike,
send me an email to makers@ymtpodcast.com.
See, the
Took
good
me
thing,
4 days to figure it out.
The good thing is, when you're poor like I am, people leave stuff. They don't take it, right? So I don't have that issue. And if I'm home, I shoot first, ask questions later.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so we don't have like a very assuming house. Like, you don't look at the house and think like, yeah, those people are loaded. They probably think the opposite of it. So, but we do have nicer vehicles. I mean, they're nothing great. Like, I've got a Hyundai and Henry's got a Toyota
McLaren?
truck.
Well, I thought he had the McLaren. Did he sell that? Trade it in?
No, I've got a Bugatti. He's got
A Veyron?
no,
His and hers.
But when there was snow a couple weeks back, it was so creepy. We know from our neighborhood app that every once in a while somebody catches a couple people. It's always somebody different walking around checking cars to see if they're unlocked. But we always lock our cars. But when there was snow on the ground, when there was obvious footprints, you could see that somebody had stepped up to Henry's door and then walked away. Like on his truck. And so they like walked into the yard up to his truck door.
Yeah.
Probably checked his truck door and then left. So we've had people coming into our neighborhood checking truck doors. I don't know if those same people are going to try to get into our house.
See, that's easy to fix. You just take an extension cord and cut the end off of it and wire it to the bumper, plug it in, and it's grounded because of the tires. So when they walk up and they touch the door, they become the ground conduit, see, and then they'll never touch your door again.
Yes.
They'll never touch anything else again.
It's only 110 volts, Michael. It's the amperage that gets
if you're going to do it right. 220.
220.
Yes.
220, 221, whatever it takes.
Do not take advice from Michael and I. Please. Never take advice from Michael and I.
No. So this past week I've been stuck doing something that I really don't want to have to do. So why don't we make that our subject tonight and talk about things that we really don't like to have to do in the shop. And I can start.
Okay.
I hate maintenance. Keeping up
what kind of maintenance?
All of it. Keeping the sawdust out of my bandsaw, keeping up with the bed of the ways on my lathe. I got to strip everything off, scratch it down, put some fresh oil on it, clean off the underside of the tailstock. It's a chore, and I don't like chores. I'd rather be turning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the problem is, if I don't do that stuff, then at some point my tailstock's going to seize up and not want to move.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
But isn't it such a nice feeling though when you finally do those things?
I know it is.
Yeah, so there is some relief when you can finally put everything back together and say, okay, that's done.
See, it's not that I don't necessarily like doing that kind of stuff, but it is kind of nice from a perspective of it's mindless. Like when you're cleaning the ways to your lathe, you're just kind of steel wheeling them, a little WD-40, cleaning them off. And it gives you time to kind of think and reflect. So I kind of use that. Like sweeping is always a good task for me. When I'm like lost and I just need to kind of collect my thoughts, I'll pick up the broom and I'll start sweeping. Or I'll start putting things away. And what usually happens is, I'll find a half-done project or something. And I'll, hey, what about this? Or something will click and it'll kind of get me going again.
So now, do you use WD-40 on your ways?
I have.
What do you typically use?
Whatever I can find. Like pig oil, 3-in-1 pig oil is great. Just here's the thing. It's not the fact that I'm trying to really lubricate the ways. I'm just putting that on there so that I have something to use. I use 4/0 steel wool, and then I work it in. I use it on my table saw, and it's just a way for me to work something into the lathe, right? Or it's a way for me to work the ways or work the naked steel, whatever you call it, the raw steel. And then afterwards, I clean it off with maybe acetone, and I come back and put like a paste wax on it.
Okay.
So, but WD, if it's handy, 3-in-1 pig oil is probably my favorite. Just wear some neoprene gloves or something because it's messy as heck. Turn your hands black.
Because I've typically just used WD-40 exclusively, and it's not the spray-on stuff. It's I've got a gallon of it there that I use a spray bottle for. And but I've been reading some conflicting viewpoints of saying WD-40 really isn't the best thing to be using for ways. I should probably at least be using 3-in-1 oil or something better than that.
Yeah, 3-in-1 works nice. Turbine oil would be great. Turbine oil, however you say it. That'd be similar to 3-in-1. Honestly, I'll be honest with you, Mike. At least you're taking the time to clean the ways and, to take care of them. And, okay, maybe you use WD-40 and maybe you have to do it twice as often or whatever they said the negative drawback is to it. But at least you're doing it, right? And you're taking care of your tool. And then that's the important part.
Rebecca, what are your views on WD-40 and ways? You guys clean your ways?
When I was in college and I worked as a student work study in the wood shop, my boss would always just have me use paste wax. And he'd have me wax on and wax off.
Wax off.
And that works great, but I guess take that back a step. If your ways are starting to, you've been sanding with wet sanding or whatever, and you've got a little water on there or whatever, and they get that hint of surface rust, not really deep rust, but just that surface, and you got to take that off. You can't really take that off with wax. So
No. He would have me sand it first, like with some 320 typically, and then wax on after I wipe all the extra residual black dust off.
I try not to use sandpaper because I'm always afraid that you'll kind of dish it out a little bit, take a little bit of too much metal away. So I try to go with a 4/0 steel wool, which is a Scotch-Brite pad probably would be even, well, it works
as well. That's what I use, Scotch-Brite.
Yeah, because I don't want to take that metal away and cause any issue there. But
yeah, I mean, you can use a sanding block too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you should just buy a Bridgeport and just resurface it.
Yeah. Yeah, why not?
Why not? I mean,
hand scrape it.
Yeah. But isn't it so nice having, like, the end of the day, just having those filthy, gross hands and being able to look down at them and saying, I really accomplished something today. Like, that feeling, that good feeling.
And then you walk
every time
into
that happens, I want to take a picture of my hands, but I can never get both hands in the picture unless I try to, like, balance it on my chin and, like, hit it with my
So do you ever look down at your hands and think, wow, I really accomplished something today? Your hands are filthy black. And then you walk in the house to wash your hands and you look in the mirror and there's smudges on your face.
Usually like the sides of my nose.
Sides of your
gets,
nose,
yeah, right. Well, no, I looked down at my hands and I was like, my hands look a lot like my dad's hands.
Are you ever in the shop and you get something on your hand and you go to wipe it on your pants and you stop and think, wait a minute, is this a good pair of pants or is it okay to wipe this? Because
all the time.
Because that happens.
See, this is why I have so many pairs of black yoga pants.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't even matter.
I did that the other day. I wiped my hand on my pants and I realized I was wearing a pair of good pants. Luckily, it wasn't anything major. I think it was crystal clear paste wax, so I wasn't too worried about it. But I got a bad habit. It's wipe it on the side of your pants. Who needs shop rags?
I've ended up having to limit myself to specific shirts to use out in the shop. Otherwise, every shirt I have either has CA or some other kind of finish that's been whipped back onto me from the lathe.
Or a quarter-size hole right on the belly.
Yeah.
That's why when I talk on the camera, it's only from like here up, because there's always a quarter-size hole or a CA stain or a resin or I feel you. I'm the same way. The same way.
I do have specific yoga pants that I wear when I know I'm going to be doing a lot with CA, because inevitably I'll get a CA spot and that'll end up being a hole. I was like, these are not going to be my gym pants. Yeah, these are going to be my shop pants.
That's why
I've even got a mask. That's my shop mask now because I got CA on it.
I always wear the same jacket or the same hoodie in the shop for that reason, because you don't want to wear your other stuff out there, so you keep the other stuff for good wear, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel you, man. It's a rough life.
Mm-hmm.
So what are the things you guys hate doing out in the shop?
Freezing.
Well, you've got the solve for that though with your kerosene heater.
Yeah. So it's like, you come out in the morning and you're shivering and you're shaking so bad, you're freezing. You got your hoodie, you got your sweatshirt on, you got another jacket on, you're freezing to death, your fingers are cold, you light that heater up, and in about 4 hours it's so hot in there, you got the garage door cracked and the back door cracked. It's like, oh my God. It was like 85 degrees in my shop. It's miserable. I'm down to a t-shirt. I got on Speedos and a cut-off t-shirt that says Body by Budweiser on it because I'm dying, You okay, Rebecca?
Yes.
What happened there?
I leaned. Okay, for whatever reason, instead of using my hand, I scratched my chin on my shoulder. And when I scratched my chin on my shoulder, I clicked my little play button.
Oh.
and something with my own voice just started playing in my ear.
It's your conscience.
Are you still recording?
I am.
Okay. We're good.
I am. But it caught me off guard. I was like, I'm not talking right now. Okay, sorry. Go on.
I mean, I'm just trying to think of something that I hate doing in the shop because, you know, I would say I hate leaving because when I'm out there, you know what I mean? It doesn't really matter what I'm doing. That honestly is my time because no one else in my family is interested in being out there, right? So when I go out there, that's my time. Whatever I do is, it's only what I can't say only what I want to do. I mean, I do projects for my wife sometimes, but I can't think of anything that I really hate doing or despise doing.
My wife actually asked me to teach her to turn.
That's a mistake.
She wants to make her own coffee scoop.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
Michael, you will get a divorce. It's better if you just get some nice wood and make her one. Okay? It's like, don't do it, Michael. Don't do it.
I've already said
Rebecca
yes.
makes some beautiful coffee scoops. Buy her a Rebecca DeGroot original and hook her up.
I don't know. The legs on those kind of creep my wife out.
I'm just trying to
spiky
save
handle,
your
she
marriage.
doesn't want that.
Yeah, no, she's not a fan of those.
I'm just trying to save your marriage here, buddy.
Yeah, I tried teaching Henry how to turn once. Didn't go well.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. You know, that's something my wife's never attempted to learn how. My 3 young kids have. I've taught them. They don't turn anymore, but they all know how. But my wife has never shown a single bit of interest in it, and she'll tell you today she has no interest in any of that stuff. That's why she has me. If she wants something fixed or made, that's my job. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Well. Yep. No.
Yep. Nope.
You don't teach your spouse how to do your thing. It
Nope.
doesn't go well.
Unless,
I mean, she might be really into it, and you
Yeah.
might be able to give her just enough information that she can get by.
I
As
have
long as
this
that's all she needs.
dark feeling that at some point during this process, I'm going to grab the tool from her head and just let me do it.
well, and that's when you'll really be in trouble. That's when the lawyer calls. When you take it away.
That's
See, and the other side of that coin, Michael, is you teach your wife, and it works out really well, and the two of you get along and have a great time, and she learns how to turn, and she falls in love with turning, and you lose your shop. So you're either losing your shop or your marriage. Which one is it? Or both. You may lose them both.
So I'm going to miss her.
When she's, yeah. What's that fishing song?
Yeah. I love my wife, but I love to fish. Oh. Well, we haven't heard from you yet, Mr. Groot.
well.
Aside from trying to teach Henry, what do you hate doing in your shop?
So I have a surprising amount of bandsaw blades that break.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all from the same bandsaw manufacturer. So I don't know if it's just bad batches I'm getting from them. But I haven't had this happen with any other blades. But they don't snap on the weld. And they don't, like, snap with that, like, brown pants explosion snap. They break. You guys know what I'm talking about.
Oh, my God.
They break. And I have the tension set. But I think it's just they start to open up. So you could see a crack forming, and then the crack opens, and then at the end of the blade, or like the back side of the blade, it's just being held on by like 1/8 of an inch or so, and the rest of it's like sprung open. So I can tell that it's doing that when the blade, instead of running true, like pushes forward as I'm cutting. So it's like wobbling, but not back and forth, but forward and back. And as it's doing that, I was like, okay, now I know that it's happening again, because where it has that break, it bends slightly toward you. And it has happened to so many of my stinking blades. And these blades are like almost $40 or more, depending on which blade I'm getting. And I'm like, this is stupid. And I'm not even using them for that long.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried lowering the tension, and it just doesn't work right because it's not cutting properly. And I've talked to Alex Snodgrass about it, and he's like, you just need to stop getting them from those people. And I'm like, okay, that's probably a good idea. But they are the ones that are available, and they fit my bandsaw. So they fit my Laguna Lovegood.
Oh, now I've got a bandsaw that has a blade welder on it, and basically, I guess you can cut the blade down to size, or if a blade breaks, you can weld it back together. It's got the little thing on the side. It's got the grinders and everything where you grind them, and then you can weld them back together. And
is that metalworking one that you've got?
Yeah. It's a 3-phase, and if you come pick it up, I'll give it to you.
Yeah. Number one, I don't have 3-phase. Number two, I don't have room.
Well, you can put 3-phase in your shop.
I'll just use a VFD.
Yeah, I mean, it's all you need. But you can actually take the blade, and it's got the little grinder wheels on there to kind of clean them up so you can get a clean weld, and then boom, you just weld them back together. You could. So tell Henry that you guys are going to fly up here to Chicago, and you're going to rent a truck and drive back and stop by my house, and we'll load it up, and you can have it. I'll give it to you. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's a jet. It's got like a 3-horse motor in it. I mean, it's a monster. It's a steel. It's for steel, cutting steel, so it will cut through wood like hot butter.
Ooh, well, I do need something to cut through my steel now that I'm going to start welding eventually.
This'll do it. Yeah. Trust me. And it's all yours for the low price of pick it up.
And we are coming into the Chicago area in about 2 weeks. Is that right?
As a matter of fact, instead of a truck, I would rent a trailer.
About 2.5 weeks.
I'd rent a trailer.
Oh, yeah?
It's about 900 pounds of saw.
Oh, my God.
It's a horse. It's a horse. Let me tell you, it came out of a production shop, and it's in great shape. It's a jet, and I just have no use for it. I have no use for it.
Yeah. Well, that would be pretty cool.
And the bad thing is, when we unplugged it, it was working fine, but I don't have 3-phase to plug it in and test it to show that it works. So it's a little difficult, but it worked great when I unplugged it because we were cutting on it the day we unplugged it.
Oh my God. Yeah, but no, after I don't like to have to do it because that usually means that I have to go out and buy another bandsaw blade. But I've been getting into the habit that when I have one that breaks, I'll go out and I'll buy 2. Usually, if I don't already have a backup, that way the new one that I put on won't be the last one that I put on. So I usually end up spending about $70, and it's like $70 or $80 on 2 bandsaw blades instead.
Is there a reason you keep using this brand?
Because the places nearby have the size that fits my bandsaw.
So
and
you're not willing to... You could go online and order from somebody and have it next day.
I could, and I keep forgetting. So I'm going to have to do that at some point. I need to. And what I really want is a carbide blade. With the carbide teeth. Ooh,
those are spendy.
I want that. Well, because it's probably going to last a lot longer than the ones I'm buying now. The cutting edge and the fact that it probably won't break. And if it does break, I'm going to send it back to the manufacturer and be like, fix it. But now I've got a stack of probably like 12 to 15 bandsaw blades that I've bought over the last couple of years that have just broken, but they're fine. So I'm like, okay, fix this blade and sharpen it for me and send all of them back, and then I'll have bandsaw blades for the next couple of years. It'll be great.
You do have a welder.
I do. I could maybe fix it sloppily.
You can be as sloppy as you want. It's the grind work that matters.
Yeah. And I've seen not all the bandsaw blade welds that I've seen are amazing. So I could fix it. I could do that. Maybe that's my next job. Then I will have to put my brown pants on. just waiting. Just waiting for it to explode on me. I'm always terrified that when it does explode, I know it's happened to me before, that it's just I'm worried that it's going to come out of the bandsaw somehow. And it's just going to escape and start like whipping around. I was like, that's not how it happens, though. It
That
just
is
blows
one nice
up.
thing. Yeah, they stay inside the saw.
Yes.
That's nice.
Yes. You know what? I worry. I have the same fear about table saws, that somehow that blade's going to come out of there. I'm like, this is an irrational fear. I don't know how it would happen. But that's some of the things I think about. Anyways, so that's one of the things I don't like to do, but I just have to do it so often. But I probably use my bandsaw more than any other tool that I use in the shop. So maybe it is just typical wear and tear, but I use it a lot. So that's why it's wearing and tearing faster than it would for most people probably. But another thing is flat work. And I was talking to you guys about this earlier, and I told Jeff Horning earlier today, and this is his response to my recent post on Facebook, about sometimes I have so many things I want to do, too many things I need to do, enough energy to do it all, but not enough mental control to organize everything in my head to be able to do any of it, so I'm just kind of frozen. Which apparently a lot of people deal with that exact issue. And he sent me a text earlier today. He's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good." I'm good. It's just everything's just kind of at a heightened level right now for me. And he helped me out, and he's like, just prioritize, pick just one thing to do. Like, don't try to tackle everything, just pick one. And I was like, I picked one, and that one thing is my boxes. And he's like, boxes? Like, what kind of boxes? I was like, flat square boxes. And he's like, are you sure you're okay? I'm like, no, I'm not. But I'm still working on the boxes to ship my piece to Australia. I'm working on the one to hopefully ship the new black piece Fume out if it sells, because it's in the show now. And I'm excited about it, but I'm crossing my fingers that it does, but I'm getting the box ready in case it does, or for when it does. So I want to have it ready and able to ship out right away instead of waiting for 2 weeks to actually be able to get a box done. So, and I have a mushroom that I have to send out to my guys in San Antonio that they've been waiting for it. So I made a little box off the cutoffs of the other 2 boxes, and I only went through about 2 sheets of the 4x8 plywood and have a bunch of excess big pieces that didn't fit with any of the sizes that I needed to cut down. So now I'm like in a box making mode. So even though it's one of those things that I didn't want to do, now that I'm doing it, I'm like, I'm really good at making boxes. I need to make more boxes. Like, what else can I make a box for? I'm like looking in my freezer, because there's a shelf that ever since we bought the house, there was a shelf missing in the freezer, and I was like, I can make a shelving unit for my freezer, and I can do this, and I can make drawers, and who cares if the screws show? It's awesome. It's I don't know what they'd call that. Industrial. It's industrial. So I can put things on everything. And now I'm getting all carried away. And I was like, how much Baltic birch plywood do I actually have? And I have a lot. I've got like 6 more 4x8 sheets. And I'm just like getting into it. Actually, they're not 4x8. They're less than that. But they still work. They're 30x60. But still, I'm excited. I'm like, I'm
you get your Baltic birch from Rockler, don't you?
How did you know?
Well, number 1, Henry, but number 2, the size. That's all they sell.
Yes. Yeah, they do. But they've had a stack of it, and I'm like, every time I go in there, as long as I have my seats down, I was like, I can get a couple more sheets of that, so I've got 6 left. And I'm like, I can make all the boxes. So now I want to make more pieces so that I can make more boxes for the pieces. Oh, and then... Okay, no, I'm
you're
going off topic.
You're back into the problem that Jeff Horning just tried to help you solve. You're throwing more and more on yourself.
Yep.
See?
Yep. Yep.
Oh,
but I'm getting the one
web.
thing done. And by the time Henry got home with his tacos, I had 2 boxes completely constructed. I'm still waiting on the last one. And those little corner clamps that Rockler also has that hold plywood together, have you used those?
I have a set of those, but I haven't used them.
They're so good. You have to get 2 sets to really be able to use them properly. So you need 8.
See, that my wife called Rockler to get me a gift for last year for whatever, and that's exactly what they told her. So I got 2 sets of half and 2 sets of 3/4, and I've never opened them. They're still in the boxes.
Oh, they're so nice. So now you need to go out there.
I don't have any
find something
plywood,
you need to make
though.
a box for. Oh, well, what? So she should have gotten you those sets and a piece of plywood.
Yeah, see?
And something that she wanted you to make out of it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I'll
there's that.
eventually
Anyways,
use 'em.
that and like just basic organization stuff. Like, it's one of those things that it's like sweeping the garage or sweeping the shop. When you go out and you actually do it, it puts you in that kind of like Zen type state where you're just sort of focusing on the task at hand. It gives your brain a little time, like you're actively doing something. So you're not in that state, well, what do I need to do right now? Because you're already doing something productive. That then you could start planning things out in your head. So now, as I'm making these dumb boxes, which look pretty nice, by the way.
Don't break your arm. Pat yourself on the back there.
I know.
They look really nice.
Right? So as I'm making these boxes, I'm also thinking about, like, what else could I make that could go into future boxes? So I've already got a couple plans of things that I want in my head on top of the sketches that I had on the wall. I think I talked about this last week of what I need to do to be able to make those things. And some of those things are actually the things that I'm kind of dreading. Like, part of the project that your project's sitting off to the side, and it has been for 2 years, that you haven't gotten back to because you're stuck on part of it. And I'm dreading going back to it because there's something I just can't work my way through.
I have an idea for you. Okay?
Yes. Yeah.
You probably have things that you've made that you haven't sold that's just sitting around. So make boxes for those things. And on the outside, don't put anything, right? And then have like a grab box sale. Okay?
Oh my gosh.
To where okay, so there are these 5 boxes. They cost this much a piece, and it's a surprise what's in it.
Or I could post the pieces as they are and say that they cost this much.
Oh no,
it's crazy talk.
It's more fun. You post one photo of all 5 items. Say you will get one of these items, and here are the boxes 1 through 5. Which one do you want? I'll take 3. Boom. Okay, they PayPal you the $60,000. You drop it in the mail, and they get what they get.
Yeah.
We know what you artists make.
This goes back to our pricing episode, but I think I just need to raise the prices. I think I just need to triple the price I have on it, and then somebody will probably buy it.
You know, it's funny how raising a price someone will buy things. I don't get that, but it works. That it really does work.
Mm-hmm. I might do that. Another thing I don't like doing, going to the post office, because some of these things I have to, because I can't just throw it on a scale and assume that I'm right and wonder if I'm going to be charged an extra $50 after it gets there because it was heavier than expected. It's like, whatever. No, it's not. Liars. But I did have to go to the post office on Friday to mail out that little water droplet piece that I made. And oh my goodness, my day on Friday. I've been working on this thing all week while I'm working to inspire my art students, of course. So they've been seeing me sanding away while I'm teaching. And it's another pat on the back. I'm really good at multitasking while sanding. I can talk through all of my sanding if I'm sitting there all day. So I'm sanding away while they're finishing their ceramic faces. And every once in a while, they actually are wondering, like, Miss, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, so you noticed this thing I've been working on for the last hour? Let me tell you all about it. So I tell them, and they get to ask me all sorts of questions about it. Anyways, inspiring my students as I make my own piece. I love doing that. So I'm thinking about bringing more stuff into sand all week this week and, inspiring them even more. And getting stuff done while I inspire. But I had to go to the post office, but I had to finish my box first. So there's a wooden box inside of a cardboard box. The wooden box was made. The cardboard box wasn't made. It was almost all packed in the foam. You have to write up the unpacking and packing instructions for these things. That took another 10-20 minutes. It took me until 3:30-ish to get out the door of the school. Took me another couple extra minutes to finish directions and responding to somebody. I made it to the post office about 10 minutes before they closed. There wasn't really a line because it's not a season for lines at the post office, but it was still one of those moments like I'm rushing all day to get everything done. And then, of course, I wanted to do a video, not of the process, but of like, this is how you pack it, this is how you unpack it. So I've got those 2 videos, but they won't post on Instagram. And I don't know why. Are you guys having trouble posting videos on Instagram lately? Because it just won't let me.
Maybe it's too big.
It's not. It's like 27 seconds.
Oh, wow. No, I haven't had trouble. That's weird.
Okay. It is. I downloaded the app and everything. But just going into the post office is a stressful time for me. Because I'm always wondering if I'm going to do something wrong, or if I didn't fill out the right thing, or why isn't it like this instead of that? They don't like it if you use the wrong type of tape because it won't work. And there's lots of just stress. And so I always hold off until the very last minute to go into the post office. But the people there are so nice. So I don't know why I do that. I don't understand. So with that being said, I think all of the things that I postpone doing are all things that I enjoy once I'm doing them. But it's just that mental block of, I don't think I like doing this, so I don't want to do it. But then I do it and I'm like, this isn't so bad. I think it's just getting myself to do it. It's like getting yourself to clean the shop. It feels great after you're done. It sometimes feels great while you're doing it because you can see it as it's happening that things are improving and now you're in a better workspace. Or changing out your bandsaw blade. I will wait way too long if it starts to get dull to change it out, when all I have to do is quick change it out, have a really nice blade, and then cutting everything is a dream again. I don't know why I wait so long. I don't know.
Trying to get every penny's worth out of that saw blade.
Exactly. But then it's just using up extra material because it cuts all wonky and then I have to sand off the excess. It's got like the wobble cut on it now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I did actually cut down the blank, the bad blank of the first one with the roots.
Oh, okay.
So I cut that down into blanks finally. Sorry, Michael.
Telling you, acetone would have worked.
I know. Also, I had a great idea because I saw somebody else do it. And I'm just claiming it as my own because I've only got one friend that I know of that smokes a lot of stuff. And have you seen those little dabbing tools? I guess it's like the oils from the pot plant and it's like in an oily consistency.
No, I haven't
Instead
seen
of
those.
smoking the plant itself, it's like smoking a sticky liquid that comes from it. I guess it's supposed to be like super concentrated. I don't know. I don't smoke, so I know nothing about it. But I've seen a couple people that make handles for the little tool that they use. And I'm like, that would be a nice gift. So I messaged a person earlier today and I was like, this would be a nice thing, wouldn't it? And that person was like, heck yes it would. And so I have a gift for this random person whose name I am not going to say, but they do that thing. And yep laws and stuff. But I've never been into that. Like my brother, when I was doing glass working, would always be like, you need to make pipes and bongs and stuff. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do that. Like, I don't want to do that. Like, I wasn't a teacher at the time, but like, I want to be a good influence for these kids. I want to be the person that's like, don't do that. But now I think my mind set on that particular issue is changing because, you know, it's whatever. Do what you want. Don't hurt anybody. Don't hurt yourself. You're good.
Yeah, well,
maybe I should stop talking. I think I'm rambling at this point, and this is Texas, and Texas doesn't like stuff.
Well, it probably wouldn't have looked very good on your record having maintained a common nuisance had you got arrested with bongs and pipes and whatnot in your house. What's this on your arrest record here? You're applying to be a teacher and you maintain a common nuisance? What? What are you doing?
Oh, and what's really funny is you could buy the tools on Amazon and they call them clay sculpting tools.
Oh, of course.
We don't use those as clay sculptors. I know. Okay, sorry. Yes. That was another thing I didn't want to do. So it wasn't really off topic, Michael. I didn't want to cut that blank up because I was worried about it, but I cut it up, and now I realize I've got a lot of little blanks now that are really nice hybrid blanks. I ended up cutting right through the roots, so it's good. No wasted wood.
Nice.
Well, sounds like you got some pens to make now.
No, I don't want to.
Well, the thing is, though,
Screw pens. Pens are stupid.
No. Here's
I want handles for drug tools.
Well, what I was getting ready to say too is if you have a lot of nice little blanks, you could always put them on your Etsy store and sell them as pen blanks, and there are people who would buy them.
I should sell them as clay sculpting tools.
Oh, Lord.
The FBI is coming for you.
Well, that's what Amazon calls them, so there's no way that I would know any better.
So what
Somebody
what else?
actually did... Huh?
No, go ahead. Finish.
Oh, somebody recommended that I take CBD oil recently. And I'm like, is that the same, though? Because it is,
No.
right?
No.
What? No?
CBD is from the hemp plant, and there are certain guidelines it has to meet as far as THC content. It has to be like 0.3% or lower. And there are brands out there where there's no THC content whatsoever.
Oh. I mean, does it even do anything then?
Actually, yeah. It can help people with anxiety, so it could help. Because that's one of the things my daughter takes is CBD oil, and she was able to get off one of her anxiety meds because of it.
Oh, wow.
It can also act as a pain reliever. There's a lot of good benefits to it, and it just depends on what's ailing you as to how it's going to help you.
One thing to be cognizant of, though, even if it is legal in your state, make sure your company, if they do drug testing and it can actually show up, you could lose your job over it. So don't just think, oh, it's legal, I can take this. Make sure, right? Because many companies do test, and I know the school system probably has a stringent drug policy, and they will treat
but
that
they
differently.
only ever test the bus drivers, coaches that drive buses.
Until you take CBD, and then they draw your number, right?
I know. I would be such a paranoid CBD user. It would make me more anxious. Like, oh my God, everything's going to come crashing down around me because of this one thing.
Oh, now, come on. Do you freak out when you have a poppy seed bagel?
All the time. I freak out when I spray too much lacquer in my garage. What are you talking about?
Oi. So, Rebecca, what has your shop squirrel been up to this week? What do they have to tell us?
Oh, well, let's see. Shop squirrel needs a name. So, this is probably something that many people have heard, and it comes from the special effects world. But the blood from the famous shower scene in Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho was Hershey's chocolate syrup. Did you guys know that?
Mm-hmm.
Was it
I
chocolate
think most
syrup, or
people
was
do.
it Hershey strawberry syrup?
Nope, it was
chocolate syrup.
I know, I'm just joking. And I didn't know that, but thank you.
I think everybody knows that, so the shop squirrel is not good this week.
I didn't know
but
that.
Did you know that 3,000 rats were specifically bred for the film Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade?
3,000 what?
Rats.
Oh, rats.
Rats. Huh, that scene still freaks me out. I barely remember it, but 3,000 of them were specially bred just for that.
What did they do with them after the show?
Fed them to the snakes from the first movie.
That's what I was wondering.
Yep.
That's it.
I knew someone who used to breed rats and sell them to pet stores. They called them pinkies, and then they would sell them to pet stores to feed their snakes.
Yeah, they had
baby rats.
The white ones with the pink eyes.
Mm-hmm.
No, they called them pinkies because they were tiny, and they would feed them. They would sell them to the pet store and they would feed them to snakes. Yeah, kind of creepy. Not
Yeah.
This show just took a gruesome turn.
Well, Rebecca's the one who watches all that. See, it's rubbing off on me. I'm starting to talk about gruesome stuff now. I used to be such a happy-go-lucky guy, and she's totally, drugged me to the dark side. I mean, look at how I named myself today. I mean, that's Rebecca's fault.
You're welcome.
For those of you not seeing us in chat, he named himself He Who Must Not Be Named.
Yeah, that's something fun that I like to do is never use my real name. That way I can deny it was me. Plausible deniability.
I wasn't there. It says right there in the log it was Iggy Pop.
That's not me. That's not my name.
That's not my name. There's a song about that. But that's not my name.
That's not my name. I don't think I've heard that song.
Oh, well. Once you hear it once, you'll probably never forget it. You already know most of the lines.
Oh, why don't you sing a few bars for us?
That's not my name. Oh, wait, here's another one. That's not my name.
That's not my name. Oh, so who's got a Bob joke?
A Bob joke.
Bob is dad. So who's got a dad joke? Might have a Bob in it.
I don't
Anyone?
have
Anyone?
I have a Bob joke.
a Bob joke.
We've officially renamed dad jokes to Bob jokes. All in favor, raise your hand.
Hey, I do have a question for you.
Uh-huh.
You watch the news every day, right?
Try to.
Did you see that thing about that Italian chef in Evansville who died?
No.
He passed away.
No.
Dad
How
joke.
terrible.
That was a Bob joke, right?
That was a Bob joke.
All right. So, I got a couple sent in by listeners, but if you guys have some jokes, please go ahead and tell them, and then I'll tell the listener jokes.
A trusted plumber is someone who is always at your disposal. Let that sink in for a minute.
Mm-hmm. It sunk in, Mike.
I think I almost got a snort out of her this week.
You okay, Rebecca? I don't think she's breathing. Quick, text him.
Lactose intolerant.
I'm breathing. I've got one from Tim Wadley. I don't mean to brag, but cashiers are always checking me out.
Oh, hey. Yeah, cool. Hey, Rebecca, it gets funny. See, Rebecca, one day, you'll go into the store to buy like some beer or something, and they'll ask for your ID, and you're like, you'll be 40 or 50 years old, and you'll be extremely flattered. See, they have a law in Indiana where you have to show your ID, regardless of your age. And this little old lady was in front of me, and nothing against little old ladies. I love little old ladies. And she was buying a 12-pack of beer, right? Whatever brand she wanted. And they checked her ID, and then she made some comment about her age. I wish I could remember what she said, but I got tickled by it. But everybody has to be, and some people find that flattering. Some people find it irritating. She found it flattering.
I could see that. That's funny. Is that... You have more, don't you?
I do, unfortunately. Kevin Mahaffey sent me a note. Said, guy says to his doctor, Doc, I broke my arm in 3 places. Doctor says, well, don't go to those places.
Oh.
All right. And I've got one here today from Rosetta Hahn. Did you hear about the new car? It's called Amnesia. It can't be recalled. That was a groaner. Michael groaned.
My wife hated my impulse purchase of an expensive revolving chair, but then she sat on it.
Ooh.
Eventually, she came around. That's it. That's all I got this week.
That's probably good. None of us really had, killer jokes this week, so it was kind of a slow week. One thing we haven't talked about today is we have not talked about tools that would be useful in the shop for carving.
Oh, well, I have all sorts of stuff to say. And a lot of that is because, first of all, I did a demo on Monday where I had to use my carving tools. I will be doing another demo that I just found out about on Thursday that I'll get to use my carving tools, and Saturday that I'll get to use my carving tools. And where do I find those carving tools, you ask? From Sabretooth.com. Sabretooth.com, where you can find a wide variety of all of the carving tools for your fantastic carving needs, carving, texturing, detailing, hogging out material that you don't want to be there. And if you want to save 10% off at checkout, enter YMT for You Made That, YMT at checkout to save 10% at Sabretooth.com, where you can find all sorts of really cool tools for carving and all of your carving needs. And they're cool colors, and I love them. And I actually just told somebody how to use some of the specific carving tools that we have, and I think they're going to go out and buy some. So I hope they use our discount code.
I do too.
Nice. So just to make things clear, you get your carving tools online, but not your bandsaw blades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because planning.
And planning and things.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Man, back's killing me today.
I felt a dad joke coming and it didn't.
No. I don't joke about my back.
Oh.
There's nothing funny about that. So, interwebs, where can we find each other? Like everybody can find me at Lost River Pens on Facebook, Instagram, and LostRiverPens.com, which I might actually start selling some pens from instead of just blanks.
Nice. I hope you do.
Ooh.
Well, I don't know why anybody would want to find me, but if you're lost and wandering aimlessly through the internet, check out RJBWoodturner, and maybe there'll be something there that you don't totally hate. You can also find my vlog channel at WhatchaDoinBob, and I have an Instagram channel, which is also RJBWoodturner, so thank you.
I'm going to mix it up this evening.
Ooh.
And you can find me on my website, RebeccaDeGroot.com, Instagram, Rebecca_DeGroot, Etsy and Redbubble, RebeccaDeGrootStudio, figure it out, YouTube and Facebook, RebeccaDeGroot. And that's just about it, because I'm not going to go into too much detail. I haven't really done anything anywhere except for Instagram, so just look at my Instagram, because that's where I got all the good stuff, except for videos, because for whatever reason it won't work right now, but I'll fix it. Yeah,
I love the Etsy, Redbubble, RebeccaDeGrootStudio. Figure it out.
I think we're all having a little bit of attitude tonight, right? I mean, everybody's just kind of having it's just been one of those days, hasn't it?
Yes.
What's that? You want to buy something from me? Well, there's a trick to it. You got to figure it out. All right. Well, I think Rebecca's got some more aggression to work out, so we're going to sign off and let her beat up on us in the after show. Everybody have a great week. Stay safe. Test negative. And we'll talk to you next week. Goodbye.